All right. So, guys, most men think that if they sacrificed enough, where if they gave up enough of whatever they love, that eventually that he will earn her trust, earn her love, and that love will follow along with it. But the reality is that self-sacrifice doesn't earn love; it earns contempt. And because without love, excuse me, without love, it's almost impossible for a woman to fall in love with you. So, guys, if you're new here today, my name is Mitchell. I'm a relationship coach. And in today's live video, I'll be talking about self sacrifice earns contempt, self development earns respect. And so, the first slide that I will be talking about today is self-sacrifice undermines respect before love ever has a chance. Okay, so let's talk about it in terms of a relationship. Love does not come first in a relationship, respect does. And so when a man constantly has a self-sacrifice where number one, he kind of abandons his boundaries, or his identity is around this or wrapped around the relationship, he becomes emotionally dependent instead of grounded on who he is as a person. His whole identity is wrapped around being in a relationship, like, oh, she's my other half, and things like that, or my better half. And it sounds great and all, but I mean, let's be real. You watch one too many movies, and you probably should be careful watching too many of those movies. Now, this doesn't create a sense of safety or attraction for her. It creates a certain imbalance in your relationship. So, without respect, it becomes very difficult for a woman to fall in love with you. And the reason why women constantly test men, and I know if guys, if you're watching this, they will constantly test you, is because number one, she wants to make sure that you're still that same guy that you once were, and she wants to make sure that she's certain, is this guy still that same guy? Is he consistent, or is he gonna be pushed around and be a doormat or a pushover? Now, the thing is, she may care about you, she might appreciate you, she might even feel comfortable being around you, but the reality is love requires admiration, and it requires admiration from her. She has to feel like she has to put in some time to respect you, otherwise she's going to brush you off. And so you often hear things like, hey, you know what, I need space, I need time, basically I need to be away from you as much as possible. And so admiration comes from someone who is anchored within himself. Hello. And if you're a man that's constantly always trying to seek approvals from other people, you will become more unattractive. And not only that, you also become this liability in a relationship as well, because if you're not getting enough from her, where do you feel like you're going to get it enough of? You're going to try to get it outside from a different person. Like I said, you become a liability, and it all comes from not taking care of yourself. Now, contempt forms when a man isn't grounded in himself. Contempt grows when a woman senses that, number one, you don't trust yourself as a man. You don't trust yourself. You don't stand firmly on your values, and you rely on her reactions to regulate your own personal emotions. Now, all this means is that it just screams instability on your end. And a woman needs to feel safe, and she needs to feel certain to be around you in order to feel like she could open up to you. When a woman doesn't feel safe and comfortable around you, she's not going to open up, meaning her mind's not going to open up to you, and also she's not going to open up to you physically. And so, and y'all know what that means, right? And so the reality is, it's not me trying to be harsh to you guys. I'm not trying to be this guy like, oh, it's not being harsh. It's not about being a tyrant. It's not about being dominant. It's about being self-contained, being able to control your own emotions. And so, like I said, it's about being in control of your own emotions and not let those emotions dictate your behaviors. Now, because the reality is, everyone's going to have a bad time. Everyone's going to struggle eventually. Life does not get easy. It's just how you get through it. And so when things doesn't go your way, how do you react? And that's the difference between a man that knows how to control his own emotions, aka a more masculine man, versus a man that does not know how to control his own emotions and repels woman, repels the woman that he's with, repels the woman that he's trying to get with, whatever it may be. And it's because he's not grounded. And so that's the difference. It's the difference between how you respond versus how you react. And that will determine whether you earn respect or become this pushover guy. And all you do is just get upset. And so now when a man is not grounded, this is what she feels. She feels a lot of pressure, whether it's in a relationship, whatever it may be, right? It could feel something like canceling plans to see her or always being available, right? Making her feel like his only source of fulfillment and happiness is through her. Now, you have to understand that attraction needs choice. When your life collapses and it collapses onto her, she feels like she's the only person. Like, oh, if she's not around, or if I'm not around her, I'm not happy. Now, that puts a lot of unnecessary pressure into the relationship. And so instead of feeling free, she feels pressured and she's not choosing you. She feels like, damn, I have to do this in order to make this man happy. And it's like, that's why the quote, I'll take care of me for you if you will take care of you for me, is such a great quote. It's because you're not leaning on each other to be stable. We're both equally stable, but we love to be with each other because we're both grounded people, grounded individuals. Now, another example is, say for example, you don't know what you want in life. And so, and you don't want to really think about things. So if she brings up like, hey, how come we never go out to eat? Or you're like, all right, fine. Where do you want to go? And you're like, I want you to pick something. And you go like, well, I don't care. You decide, you figure it out. And so eventually, if you keep doing that, she will have to feel like she's the leader by default. And like I said, leadership isn't about being in control. It's about being stable. And so when you personally lack this leadership, you're conveying to her that you're not stable as a person. And she has to fill in the gap or fill in that void of you being not grounded enough to make a decision. And so that to her is very unattractive. Now, on the other hand, when he is grounded, she feels a lot of space. And that's the beauty of that, right? And I've always mentioned that, and this is from Coach Corey Wayne. He talks about how space, like what makes music beautiful. And he talked about how it's the space in between the notes. That's what makes music beautiful. Otherwise, if there's no space in between the music, all you get is noise. And so if you're trying to create this nice harmony within your relationship, you have to understand space and understand what it means to give her space, and not from a passive aggressive way, but being in a very grounded way. And in my eyes, how I see things, it's like when my girlfriend tells me, hey, I have things such and such to do. To me, I'm like, great, I get to do all these other things without being distracted, and I get to do my own stuff. It's not to say that I don't get to do my own stuff when she's around, but I'm saying that I have more time to do my own things without any interruption. And so now, space. She has a freedom to choose you. That's what space means. She has a freedom to choose you when there's countless options, but yet she decides to still want you. And you have to understand this. That's a space where respect lives. And where respect lives, love has room to grow. Moving on. Number 3, self-development. Self-development creates the grounding that love is required. And so you have to understand, by Coach Corey Wayne, that's where I got it from, right? Here's the quote. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the expectations of your peer group. And I'll talk about that, okay? So self-development, okay? Like I said, it's not just about success. It's about becoming internally stable. Your routine, your discipline, your mission, and purpose to do something that has meaning to you, right? So they give you emotional consistency. They reduce a lot of neediness because you're driven to do the things that you love to do, not because you feel like you have to. Sometimes it does, but it's a pull. It's one of those life's influences that pulls you forward. that feels like this is part of your meaning, part of the meaning that you have in this life. And so it reduces neediness, it gives you emotional consistency, and it creates this very calm center that you have as a man that she could trust. And so this is why, like I said, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the expectations of your peer group. And this is why the people that you're around most matters. They say you're the average of the 5 people you're around, hanging around with. And so, Blissful, what's up, Bree? I have to read that again. But so, and I've talked about this years and years ago, but it's something that came back again. And it's, you have to remember what life's influences is. It's 3 of them. And I heard this from Tony Robbins. And he talked about, number 1, that it's one of the life influences is the one that keeps you in the past, where you kind of get stuck in the past, you're unwilling to move forward. Maybe it's being around someone that always talks about the good times but never move forward. And maybe they peaked at high school and that's where they're at, and that's where life is. I can't get any better than past my high school, when you were X, Y, and Z, right? And then number 2 is one that distracts you, most commonly your phone, and doing things and constantly being stimulated and never really giving yourself a chance to listen to yourself. And so those are distractions, and there's others that keeps you in the past. The one I kind of lean towards is the one that pulls me forward. I didn't mean to rhyme, but it's that one that I lean towards. It's what feels like that I'm doing today that will pull me forward. And so a part of that is, taking care of myself, taking care of my health, educating myself. Something as simple as drinking lots of water, even though I like to drink my Coke Zeros from time to time. And, just educating myself and learning a little bit more about myself, and just really creating the peace and drama-free life that I kind of lean towards. I steer away from drama. I mean, from time to time, it's nice to, get a little spice in life. But most of the time, I'm kind of like, that's their drama. I don't want to deal with it. I don't mind hearing about it. But, it is what it is. That's life, right? And so, like I said, that's why you got to be careful with the people that you're around, because if they constantly distract you, they constantly pull you in the past, it's going to be really, really difficult for your life to pull forward. And it's gonna require a lot of motivation, and eventually you have to understand that motivation is this push energy. It's push. Eventually you're gonna lose out on this push energy, and it's gonna require a lot of pull. And so when you lean on to something that you truly love and you truly care about, eventually you lean on to something that pulls you in. That's like, you wake up every morning, you're like, I gotta do this. And that's the first thing you think about, and the last thing you think about before you sleep. And so those are good motivations, but what you're looking for is this pull energy that will draw you back in no matter what. And that's the beauty of that. And so you got to take it upon yourself to find that for yourself. What do you love? So, sit down with yourself. So, like I said, if your peer group, majority is, distractions, like I said, good old days, it's going to feel hard to stay grounded, because you're always constantly being pulled to the past. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the past, but, you use the past as a teacher. That's what it's for. And then you try to eliminate as much distractions as possible. But not to say that you can't have fun, but then you want to do something that's better than yourself. You want to serve something better than yourself. And so that's why you have this purpose and this mission in life. And so for me, it's a service. It's helping people, whether it's physically, as a personal trainer, I like to help people physically get better. But also it's beyond just feeling good physically, it's mentally too as well. So if you're struggling with relationships, that's where other people get to talk to me about the relationships, and I can help them with that. And so you have to remember that in life, most people that you meet, most people major in minor things. They're worried about other people's problem than themselves, right? Because it's easier to point the fingers than to fix themselves. And it's a whole lot easier to join a group of people and blame the other people because I don't want to do anything for myself. Like I said, most people major in minor things. They don't really focus on self-development, and that's why it builds this contempt. And they're always upset, and they never get any better. And these are the certain type of people that always gets upset and angry at life. So it's really, you have to really be careful of how you view things, right? So the story that you constantly tell yourself, if you tell yourself that life sucks and that nothing's ever going to get better, and then you have a friend that constantly agrees with you, how else do you think you're going to grow? So that's why I'm saying keeps you in the past, right? And the one that distracts you, that's very important. And so now, on the other hand, if you're around people that, or you're surrounded by people that directly or indirectly that aligns with your values, and let's just say what you value most is growth, your standards naturally rises. It pushes you to become better. It's difficult to become better when you're always having other people pull you back down to where they feel you fit best. Because what ends up happening is when you're trying to move forward in life or move up in life, if you move too far up and you're still around these certain people down over here, they need to feel good about themselves. And so what naturally is they're going to pull you back down to where they feel comfortable. Because if you start becoming successful, you're going to be this reflection to them, and they don't like that because what they want is what you're having. What's up? What they want is what you got. And what you got, they don't have. And so eventually they need to pull you back down so that they can feel better about themselves. What's up, Peter? And so, like I said, be careful with the people you surround yourself with. Protect your energy. And that's what it really means to protect your energy. It doesn't mean you just push everyone away. It means that, you know what? Who you decide to give your energy to, your time that you will never get back, that's really up to you. And so understanding that is going to be really, really important in your life. Now, grounded men, okay? People who's grounded. My parent kicked me. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot like maxing a lot lately. I think that's a new buzzword. So anyways, grounded men, they don't chase love. They allow it to happen. And so this isn't just about relationship. This applies to all areas of your life, whether it's both professional or personal. And how I see it is someone that lacks integrity, that does not stay consistent to what they say, those are certain people that I kind of keep my eyes. And so the first thing that I like to really focus on is how consistent are they to what they say, what they do. If they say something, are they consistent? Hey, I meet you here at a certain time. Okay. If it's not like a party or anything, then it's like, if we have a set schedule and you constantly violate that time, if we say we're meeting up at 12 o'clock and every time I see you, it's a different time, that's not someone that I want to consistently work with. Like I said, both personal and professional. And so that's how I kind of gauge certain things. You could always bottom line someone's actions. Their actions don't lie. And usually it comes with an excuse. I have this to do. I had that to do. That's fine. If you knew you had that thing to do, why couldn't you give me a call? Why couldn't you send me a text? Why can't you notify me, whether it's email, whatever it may be? It's because they don't respect you, because they don't respect your time. Now, lastly, like I said, where respect goes, love follows. So if we're talking about your personal relationship, if you don't have respect for yourself, no one else is going to respect you. And if they don't respect you, you're not going to have that love that you want. You're always going to be that one that always settles for what you got. And so love cannot be negotiated. Love cannot be convinced, nor can it be sacrificed into something that you want or sacrificed into existence. It just does not happen. So respect follows self-trust, that you believe in yourself. Number two, having having set and enforced healthy boundaries. So having clear boundaries. And a man that would, or a woman, or, would much rather be alone than to abandon their own sense of values of what they believe in. And so, and what usually happens to a man like this, though, is that he's probably hit rock bottom. This man has probably hit rock bottom where he felt like he was defeated or life defeated him, and yet he still chooses himself and he still chooses to overcome those certain challenges. And what that happens is, it's of overcoming challenges is, this is like almost like the pinnacle of being this masculine man, where you're also humble. So the pinnacle of being this masculine figure, where this man becomes a very dangerous man. And when I say dangerous, I'm not talking about dangerous to other people where he's going to inflict harm or anything. I'm just talking about this is a certain man or certain guy, certain man, right? Where he no longer settles in a relationship, where he no longer tolerates bullshit from other people. And on top of that, he moves with a purpose. He has a drive, he has a focus, and no one could really tell him otherwise. Even if they're like, man, look at him, he's not doing anything better for himself, his life probably sucks, or whatever, they have a group of friends that like point fingers at him. It doesn't matter. He would rather be alone than to abandon his own values of what he believes in. It's because he's so certain, so sure about himself. And that's a person that is dangerous, because like I said, he does not settle, he doesn't tolerate, and he does not deal with bullshit. And so whoever he's with, eventually, if it doesn't suit him, he would choose himself, always. He always chooses himself. So like I said, it's not in a selfish way though, okay? He's not choosing himself in a selfish way. Kind of is, but not really. But there's a guy that's okay with being alone. It's like, look, I'm not dealing with this bullshit. I'd rather be alone. And that's okay with me. I'm okay with being alone. Because he's done it before and he could do it again. And he's certain that he could do it again. Now, this is a man that stopped self-sacrificing and started focusing on self-development within himself. He becomes attractive. It becomes effortless because he's aligned with his own goals and his values and himself. So this is the type of guy that does not demand love, though. He's the guy, like I said, he chooses himself, and he eventually understands that love is allowing, and that he lets her do the choosing. He allows her to choose him, even though there's a selection of people out there. Why? Because you're rare. People like you don't happen very often. Or most people, like I said, you ever heard it? Most people major in minor things. So most people, or most guys that she sees, eventually you already know it's not gonna work out. Like, you just like, yeah, she's settling. And eventually you're gonna have way more selection. And it's not that you're gonna go out there and be like aggressive about it. It's just like, yeah, look, I have selections. I don't need to tell no gentlemen, don't kiss and tell. And so all you have to do is stay quiet, let them, mess up their own relationships, and eventually they're gonna choose you anyways, because you're the guy that understands. And so you need to become someone who respects himself first. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this live video. I'll be back again next week, and I'll be talking about something different. So if you guys did find this video content of value, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, or share it with your friends, to whoever you think will benefit from listening to this. That being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one.